out, say I really enjoyed the music. I see you have a singer up there.
Yes.
I don't do ask a question. Okay.
You have an album?
We really are working on that, actually. Because there was a lot of outtakes, basically, music that didn't make it into the film, and additional music, and we've met musicians in the last 96 hours that sync up with musicians that were sort of already in a, affiliation with the project. So it's music. Music's got there's no much. Yeah, it's on its way.
Can you introduce her?
Oh, there's please.
Maybe 3 years ago now, we were practicing, my friends and I, in Rick Cochran's living room, and Dan and his wife brought Deborah and these other people to the practice session because they wanted to hear our music. They said, we're making a movie, but we're making locations. And we thought, okay. And 2 years went by, and then I get this call and says, you know that one song, we just couldn't get that out of our heads. Could you maybe sing that? Yeah. And that's how it all started. Usually I teach English and folklore, and I have a little radio show on public radio. It's a podcast. It's ksmu.org, ksmu.org, and then in the sidebars, these are our shows, in case you want to see.
I thought there was so much gravity to the acting performances, particularly Jen and John, Teardrop and Breeze. And I'm wondering, what did they do to get acquainted with the area, and what was their method?
The question is, how did John and Jen get into their roles, get into their characters, and did they do research and whatnot? And they both did. John's very meticulous. John adored the novel, like on a super passionate level. That's what made him want to do the film. And he got a lot of the backstory from the novel, and it inspired him. And then he did reconnaissance when he was there. He went into bars. Because he feels like he's not very recognizable, so he can just do what he wants to do. And he also listened to some recordings. He listened to recordings that were done by the Lacey family and other people, and he put them in he had a CD of them, and he drove around as he did his other work in Los Angeles, and his tons of highway time. So he was just listening to these very rich monologues that were done. Because he wanted to try to get it in his head. And so he really does. He does his work. He likes to be here before production and try very hard to meet and connect with people that can show him things, physiologically, just he decided to put some marks on his, for his own character, and then proceeded to execute those meticulously day after day, which is a very lengthy procedure. So he works by very rigorous rituals. He sets very high standards for himself. And then he fills them, and Jen she was lucky, she had, in Kentucky, she had an aunt who was able to have her come out and brush up on some skills that had fallen away from her particular family. And then she was very willing to do that extra work too, right? And Kat helped her learn, she thought she could chop wood, and she really gave it her all, the upper arm strength. Alicia acquainted Jen with the horses on the property, and they connected that way. And Jay Gideon allowed her to learn some things with hunting and whatnot. Your son, Kat's son, assisted us with the targets and whatnot, and where on the property and how to do that. And then provided incredible sound effects. I never told you, we got incredible props. The sound person in New York, just every single caliber, every shot was truly beautiful. I think they're going to keep it in their sound effects library. So Jen and John did their work, and they really, and Jen, as young as she is someone who really loves to learn from other actors, and so she really takes it in. She's someone who is watching. She's watching and observing, trying to learn live right there during the process.
You were great.
Will there be a part 2?
Daniel's got a lot of parts lined up, because he's got a story that can never be finished. Actually, it's got all these segments, and but it's a great question. Well, let's leave that one open-ended, like in a hopeful way.
Community's reaction then. We're from Kansas City, so we've been out of the Ozarks a few times, and how's the community reacted to having a movie there as well as the content?
So that's very loaded, because the community, I would say, is very aware of the making of it. In fact,
It's been in the paper just about every day.
and there were a lot of participants. I mean, Highway H and Lone Star, and it ended up involving a lot of people, a lot of property owners. I mean, Janet and the Beards, the cooks, all. So there was a huge amount of very overt knowledge of us making the film, and we were physically all together. How we received is crucial. It's crucial to know. We don't know. We have to bring the film there, and that's always the hardest screening ever, is to bring the film back to the location, because ultimately authenticity, whether likes, representation, how we did, whether the story has gnarly issues that basically frustrate and bum out people in the community. We will know only when we are brave enough, when we have to, it's already a commitment, but when we show up to do the screening in Southern Missouri, that will be the truth. That will be, there's no mincing that judgment.
How do people who live there feel it's going to be received?
Like on a speculative basis?
Yeah, how do they feel about it with other people?
You guys, do you have a sense?
Well, everybody's pretty excited. I mean, they can't wait to see it, and they think they'll be blown away. Yeah.
I think one thing that works positively for a film that's filmed in an intimate area is there is something emotional about seeing places that you recognize represented on screen. We all have very small necks of the woods, and sometimes it's just, you see an intersection, you see a house, you see a tree that you know. So there's something very charged about seeing places that are your turf, photographed and being out in the world.
We have time for one more question. I heard the word squirrel, but what's the other part?
Done.
Yeah, you're asking, was it unusual for the actors to gut the squirrel themselves?
Yeah.
Isaiah, want to speak to that? Really, basically, what we did was there was a lesson given by a man in the neighborhood called Jay Gideon, who renders deer and wild game for many people in the community. I think Jen also had, she participated in that kind of a workshop, if you will. And so we also had people helping us on the hunting level with issues of hygiene and whatnot. So I feel like we really were fully educated, and these were squirrels that were frozen. in the sense that they were caught during the season and then they were put aside, and we were trained how to handle them.
But there was a lot of
Yeah, no, of course. But basically then people got over that. That was really good. That was really good. So people, when you come from far away, you have to get educated. Very much so.